Clinical psychologist Becky Kennedy gave a TED Talk called The Single Most Important Parenting Strategy. I'm the Angry Child Therapist, and let's talk about it. Welcome to the channel where I, the Angry Child Therapist, talks about child psychology, development, parenting, trauma, and more. Please like and subscribe not just for the YouTube algorithm, but also because it motivates me to make more videos. Okay, so before we get too much further, I encourage you to watch the TED Talk here. Once you've done that, come on back. It's 14 minutes, it's an easy watch, and although you could watch the rest of this video and still learn something, it'll be more meaningful if you watch that one first. I'll wait. Okay, great. In short, she discusses how normal it is for parents to lose their cool, or what Dan Siegel calls flipping your lid. Then she discusses the importance of relationship repair and what it means. She doesn't have a formula, but instead gives an example. I'm going to give you a formula. First, this concept fits so well with my 10 plus years working with children, adults, trauma, and attachment. So much of the time when using a therapy like EMDR, we go back to visit an upsetting memory. And it's not always the big assault or the car accident. More often than not, it's a parent flipping their lid, saying something they don't mean, or generally just not having the capacity to show the love and connection the way the person needed it at the time. Most, if not all adults, have memories on both sides of this equation. So, a rupture is made, and just as Becky said, and this is more emphasized with children, we internalize the experience. As an angry child therapist, I see it daily. Kids are self-referencing. They experience their world through an egocentric lens. They're selfish. Now, this isn't a judgment, this isn't a character flaw, it's developmentally appropriate. It's a developmental stage. So the child internalizes and adopts the negative thought about themselves. There's something wrong with me. Or very often, it's my fault. There's a whole list of negative cognitions, and they aren't always self-referencing for children. Sometimes they overgeneralize. Negative thoughts could be like, adults aren't safe. These negative thoughts are then stored in the nervous system and recalled when similar events happen and other upsetting events build upon them. Negative thoughts then become tied to identity and are not adaptive in adulthood. So whatever the negative thought is, it's adopted by the child in that moment to make sense of the world. Their brains aren't developed enough to understand concepts like adults lose their cool too. So, what have we got so far? It's okay to rupture and lose your cool. Nobody keeps it together all the time. And kids naturally internalize and self-reference. Now, let's get to the repair. This essentially can halt the internalization process and thus reverse or minimize any attachment damage that may have occurred. Relationships, I like to see them as fabric, and a rupture in the fabric needs to be sewed. Here's my formula for owning and repairing a rupture in a relationship, and this works for all relationships. Step one, we own, which means owning your mistake. Simply stating exactly what you did wrong. It's not an apology, although it can include an apology. It's not a question. It's a short statement without explanation, excuses, or blaming. And if you didn't know what you did wrong, you can ask. The person who is upset with you can tell you exactly what you did that wasn't okay. Short sentence, I snapped and yelled at you over dinner, and that was wrong. Number two, exploring impact. I really encourage the families that I work with to spend the most of the time here. Going back to Dan Siegel, he has a concept of the feeling of feeling felt, right? We've heard, to listen to understand instead of listen to talk. So this is that concept at play here, is to really get a sense of how your actions, your flipping of your lid impacted your child or the person that you're in the relationship with. So for Explore Impact, this isn't telling someone how you impacted them. This is trying to get a sense of it. Sometimes you can guess. So the prompting questions are, how do you think your behavior affected others? Right? Have that conversation with those that you affected if you can. If it's your child, just like Becky had shared, visiting them in their room, saying, wow, that probably didn't feel good. So the sentence prompt here, my behavior impacted you because blank, impacted others because blank, impacted myself because blank. I had a young man who had stolen a candy bar from a store, and we had done this exercise, and he sort of understood how he impacted himself and others, but really didn't have that concept of how stealing from a store might raise prices for the whole community. So the impact can have ripple effects, and I think a lot of kids need support in understanding how their behavior impacts others. And then really make space for that exploration of impact, right? Really be open to how your behavior might have hurt others, and really be able to sit with that without, you're going to notice maybe defenses coming up, because it sucks when we hurt others. See if you can set those defenses aside and really experience and get a sense of how your behavior impacted that person that you care about. And lastly, repair. If you made the mistake, you can't say what the repair should be. It's going to be determined by those that were impacted. Sometimes repair is a simple, I'm sorry. If I stepped on someone's toe and say, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this whole own and repair thing. I stepped on your toe, and that wasn't okay. I imagine that hurt. I imagine that you were shocked. And they say, oh, no big deal. Let's just move on, right? It could be small. But if it's a big behavior or a big rupture, then repair might take time. It might include consequences. But these questions would be, how do I fix this? What can I do to make this better? And there you have it. So take this knowledge, practice, and remember to give yourself grace as you navigate all the relationships in your life. Thanks so much.